Okay, so let's deal with the different types of matrices. So there are different types of matrices. First one, let's start with this, which is called the column matrix or the vector matrix. The column matrix, as you can see in the example given below, a column matrix is a type of a matrix when the number of rows are an integer but the number of column is always 1. Or in one way, there may be different numbers of rows but there is only one number of columns. So when there is many number of rows but only one number of column, we call that as column matrix. While row matrix or vector refers to any number of columns but only one row, or in another way, a matrix that has different number of columns but only one row. Alright, there's another called as the rectangular matrix. So a rectangular matrix is that which contains at least more than one element and the number of rows and columns are not the same as given in this example. The first example has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 2 columns, while in the second example we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns and 2 rows. So here m cannot be equal to n. So when we have different numbers of rows and columns, we call that as rectangular matrix. Okay, another type of matrix is called as square matrix. So a square matrix is that form of a matrix where the number of rows and columns are the same. Given here in the example, as we can see, we have two matrices or matrices where we have the number of rows and columns are both the same. So in such type of matrices are called as square matrices or square matrix. Identity matrix, represented by the letter I, is a type of a matrix where all the diagonal elements are 1, or the values of the diagonal element has to be 1 and not more than 1, and the other elements apart from the diagonal elements are 0. The reason why identity matrix or unit matrix is called as identity or unit matrix is because the value of the matrix will always be 1. The next is called as the null or the zero matrix, represented by the numerical value 0. So a null matrix is a kind of a matrix where all the elements in the matrix are zeros. So the value of the matrix will always be a 0, and therefore it is called as a null matrix. As we can see in the example, all the values or all the elements of the matrix are zeros. Hence, we call it the zero matrix or the null matrix. A triangular matrix. A triangular matrix is a square matrix whose elements above or below the main diagonal are all zeros. So as we can see in the example, we can see in the first set, we have the values 1, 0, 0, 2, 1, 0, 5, 2, 3. So it's a square matrix because both the rows and columns are the same. It is a triangular matrix because it forms the shape of a triangle with the arrangement of the element. A triangular matrix can be either upper triangular matrix or lower triangular matrix. So, an upper triangular matrix is a square matrix whose element below the main diagonal are all 0, and above the main diagonal the elements are all greater than 1, as we can see in the given example here. On the other hand, lower triangular matrix is a square matrix whose element above the main diagonal are all 0. So this is just the opposite of the upper triangular matrix, as we can see here in the given example. A scalar matrix. A scalar matrix is a diagonal matrix whose main diagonal elements are equal. It is not necessary that it should be equal to 1 like a diagonal matrix or identity matrix, but it is important that all the elements of the diagonal has to be equal or are equal, as given in the example here. So coming to the conclusion, a matrix is an array of numbers arranged in rows and columns, and those are some of the types of matrices. Thank you.